wrestlers for the Mavericks know it. They're trying to pump up their wrestler, Corry Royal, at 177 pounds. The Mavericks trail by 10 coming into these last 3 matches. What that means is somebody out of these 3 matches has to have a big win.
Right.
They can't just have 3 wins. They'll lose, they'll lose by a point. So somebody needs a big win here.
Royal, a senior out of Ferndale, Michigan, taking on Brian Edwards, who's a junior out of Coweta, Oklahoma.
He's one of these transfers. He transferred over from Oklahoma State, wrestled for 2 years there. He was ineligible first semester, so he hasn't seen a lot of action. You see his record's only 8-8. Took a year off. He's actually 23 years old.
Man.
And he's out here as a junior wrestling for the Broncos. The last time these two met up, we should talk quick because Corry Royal pinned him in the first period, and that's Corry Royal's style. He is a pinner, so I'm sure the Mavericks would like to see him do that again here tonight.
Well, that would help tremendously, at least on the team score side, too.
Stay in there, Grant.
Central Oklahoma, I noticed in their entire roster, has a lot of wrestlers from Oklahoma State. 3 years ago, the NCAA slapped the death penalty on Oklahoma State wrestling.
Right.
And a lot of those wrestlers went around to other programs in the country, and a bunch of them went over to Edmond, to Central Oklahoma.
Corry Royal picks up that 2-point takedown, so he has that 2-0 lead over Edwards here in the first period.
There's a caution by Edwards. Again, like we said, the Mavericks need, not only do they need to win all 3 of these matches, but one of them, at least one of them, has to be by at least a major decision for them to even get a tie. Corry Royal, the senior from Ferndale, Michigan, he's a transfer also. Wrestled 1 year at Muskegon Junior College, where he was 4th in the National Junior College Tournament. Wrestled 1 year for Iowa Central. His freshman year, he was the National Junior College champion. So he knows how to win as well. Last year, he was 39-8, placing 4th at the national tournament. Had 17 pins out of those 39 victories.
1-point escape for Edwards. Makes it 2-1 now, Corry Royal.
Corry out of Ferndale, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit, and a tough neighborhood in Detroit. Didn't know if he'd even ever consider going to college, and now he's probably going to end up getting his degree here in the next year or two and earn some All-American honors along the way.
Edwards, even though he weighs out at 177, he's a very thin 177. I mean, to me, he just doesn't have the thick legs,
Well, I think he's one of the wrestlers. He's probably more of a 158 or 167 pounder, but due to the fact that they've got the defending national champ wrestling Mark Cunningham at 167. He's basically got to wrestle wherever he can fit into the lineup. So,
less than a minute to go in the period. Royal leads it 2-1, but the Mavericks trail by 10 on the team score, 16-6.
Both of these wrestlers, their coaches just love their athletic ability more than anything. Not necessarily their wrestling talents, but just overall athletic ability. These guys are both very talented athletes. Corry Royal was an all-state football player and 2-time state champion in track as well. Has even given some consideration to going out for the football team here next year, because he will have 1 year of eligibility to play football next year. He'd only have 1 year. He can't wrestle anymore, so he might as well play a little bit of football. And nice takedown by Corry Royal.
So now it's 4-1. Yeah, he worked hard for that, but you could see that Edwards was going to be in trouble because he got up. You could see it in his face as soon as he got both points off the mat.
You saw Corry Royal had his hands locked around the back of Edwards. The Central Oklahoma coaches wanted a locking hands call, but official Phil Pasali felt that it was an imminent near fall situation.
I just saw an imminent. The second he turned the other way, I said.
Here you can hear Pasali explaining to David James. Corry Royal gets the choice. He's going to be up or down. So Edwards will be down. Start the second period. Corry Royal just 6 seconds away from getting a point for ride time. 4-1 already. Royal leads over Brian Edwards here at 177 pounds. The Mavericks need some team points. And Royal right away starting again with an aggressive attack.
Well, the one thing, a lot of Corry Royal's pins usually come out of a throw. So if he's going to pin him, I'd be willing to say that's probably where we're going to see it come from, is from their feet, actually.
Edwards is just trying to survive at this point.
The Maverick coaches know that they need at least a major decision somewhere out of these next couple matches, and if they could get it here at 177, that takes a little bit of the heat off the wrestlers at 190 in heavyweight. So they'd like to get it here to loosen the things up a little bit. I know they don't want to see it come down to the heavyweight match if they don't have to.
Royal's not going to give him that point escape. Nice move. He grabs Edwards' leg, wouldn't let him go, and tried to
He's
spin
got the
him
cradle
around.
locked on now. He's going to set him back for near fall. The crowd's going crazy. It's a little tough to get a pin out of a cradle situation like this, but he's got at least a 3-point near fall.
They haven't called it yet, but he's got control.
He's got him in trouble. He's loosening it up. He's really got him in trouble at this point. Edwards doing everything he can just not to give up the pin, and he is able to get his head out.
Man, 3-point near fall. He got it. Makes it 7-1, and with ride time makes it 8-1, so he's a point away from an 8-point lead in decision, but then he gives a 1-point escape. Oh, that's only a lot of times you'll see wrestlers do that just so they can lock them up again and add on to their score.
Well, like I said, Corry Royal, he's a real thrower. He wants to come up here and be on his feet and try to get a throw to get a pin. He did have the near fall situation there, but a cradle, it's a little tough to pin a guy because you can't get that one shoulder, that inside shoulder down. So Corry Royal wants to get out here and possibly get some type of a throw to put Edwards on his back.
Stalemate. We'll go back to the middle. But I'll tell you, if I'm Brian Edwards, I got to be thinking, boy, I've stirred up a hornet's nest here.
Corry Royal, he's the currently ranked 6th in the country, but I know the Maverick coaches feel he just as very easily could be #1 in the country, so they expect big things out of him.
You know, you bring up a good, interesting point there. Is there that much difference between, like, the top 5 wrestlers in a weight class across the nation?
Here we go.
Not usually. I mean, usually you're talking those top 6 guys are really neck. Occasionally you'll have 1 or 2 guys that really dominates the weight class over a couple, a span of years. You talked earlier about Carlton Hasselrig, the heavyweight from Pittsburgh, Johnstown back in the late 80s. That was a case of a wrestler that just dominated his weight class for 3 straight years. Nobody was able to touch him. And so occasionally, sure, you're going to get the guys that dominate their class, but for the most part, when you get to this level, everybody's tough.
5 seconds to go, and we've got a stall against Edwards, and that's the end of the period.
Nice double leg attempt by Corry Royal as time ran out. Unable to score on that. He's holding on to an 8-2 lead, plus a 2-minute riding time advantage. It's his choice. He's going to take the down position. So he's up by 6 at this point. Plus the point for riding time if he can get out within a minute. The crowd wants more. They know that the Mavericks need a big win, so they're rooting Royal on to score more points.
So he just methodically works his way up, and he's got a 1-point escape.
And
that gives him a 7-point lead now.
He's in the upper body position. Edwards has been called a few times for stalling. He's got to stay in the middle.
Crowd doesn't like that call. Phil Pasali says they're out. Man, they're letting Phil know about it.
This is a tough crowd tonight.
Yeah, I know. Well, you made a good point, too, earlier. I mean, Phil, coming from the UNO wrestling program, and you said you were in the same situation. It's tough to be officiating any match, but a duel like this on the floor where you used to wrestle. I mean, you got to be real careful, and I can understand that. And the crowd obviously recognizes Phil Pasali, but at the same time, he's wearing zebra stripes, so that makes him the bad guy right away.
Go.
Minute 33 to go.
Phil always does a real good job, though. Phil and I both refereed together at the NCAA National Tournament a few years ago, and Phil's got a lot of experience in both the high school and the college ranks of wrestling, and always does a real good job. There's Brian Edwards is in on a single leg attempt on Royal this time. Royal holds on to with the escape, has a 9-2 lead. He's up by 7. With riding time, he's up by 8, so he can't give up any points here either. But now he's countering that leg attack. and gets the 2-point takedown.
Yep. 11-2 with less than a minute to go.
Injury time called by Brian Edwards.
He's
Corey Royal
his
looked like
ankle.
he was gonna cut him loose there anyhow.
Before he cleared, we're still going down.
He was gonna cut him loose there. He wants to get back up on his feet, and like I said, Corey Royal being a thrower, he wants to get in that upper body position and see if he can get a big move to end it.
He called time before he cleared.
11-2. Royal with the lead. 51 seconds to go in the period. The Mavericks trail on the team score 16-6, but they are on the verge right now of cutting into that.
Well, this is a match where I know Coach Denny was definitely expecting a win and was hoping for a big win in order to get the momentum back over to their side.
Optional start.
In order to hang on to that #1 ranking, the Mavericks need to win this duel.
No kidding. Well, he gave up that 1-point escape, and I guess he can afford to do that at this point as long as he doesn't make any mistakes and let Edwards get back into this.
Edwards again shoots in on a single on Royal. Royal's got great balance though, and really what I call good hips. I mean, even though Edwards is in deep as he is, Royal's really not in any trouble at this point. I mean, he's comfortable in that situation because he knows he can get out of it if he gets in too much trouble. They went out of bounds there.
It's you again.
Yeah, you look at
Put a double knot in that.
started in the first period, actually, as you hear Phil Pasali telling Brian Edwards, double knot that shoe, okay? Tie it this time and double knot it.
Well, that's one thing about Phil when he's official. He doesn't pull many punches either.
But you can tell ever since the middle of the first period, Royal has just had that confident look in his face. And it's been nothing but go, go, go.
Last 10 seconds.
It's got him in trouble. It's got him down now. 4 seconds. Boy, they sure could use a pin here. 1 second. That's the period. Is he going to give it to him?
We're going to have a controversy here because
Phil Pasali saying a pin.
Phil's saying the pin. Coach David James arguing that time was out.
Before he slapped me. And as soon as I saw the ball, it went down.
They're gonna call a pin. Phil Pasali says he called the pin before the towel hit him, which meant time was out.
Shake hands, shake hands.
Corey Royal ends up getting a pin.
Wow. You talked about needing a big momentum booster. There it is. Corey Royal with that pin.
That's a big win for the Mavericks. That will make the score 16-12 coming into the last 2 matches. All the Mavericks need now is 2 victories. They don't even, with a big pin like that by Corey Royal, he basically did his job. They sent him out there to do the job, and he did exactly what they asked for.
So with a pin, that gives the Mavericks 16 points, and that makes it now 16-12 Central Oklahoma. Let's